Shirley, what would you say is one of the most important things that you should do for the caring of an Alzheimer's patient? And I remember all the little tricks we learned, you know, the double pads,
the hands-on,
and the slicing up of his wonderful polo shirts so that it would make it easier and he wouldn't hurt because he had gotten so stiff, and that sort of thing. What do you think about taking care of the person and how we can do that?
dignity. Never, ever, ever forget that the person you're caring for is a person. Mm-hmm. Never forget that. The dignity, you think about their life. And we go through this majorly in our training, in our Alzheimer's training, that this is a real person. This is a real person. And when you're giving him a bath, or when you're stripping him, or you're changing him, and he's had a bowel movement, the dignity that is needed throughout, that caregiver must always, always remember that. And as you and I have talked many times, Gail, he was a very proud, proud man, your husband. And the thought of having all of those women taking care of him, not in that way, but it would have horrified him. And that is always in our mind when we're taking care of our client.
And it horrifies the family people, too, because they're not realizing that the person is at that
As we would ask your sons to step away as we were taking care of him. Mm-hmm. You have to, because for that son to watch, no. For you to watch, but you became adapted to that. Some people cannot. So it's, as a caregiver, you have to be aware of that, the compassion and the dignity that is needed for that person.
And while we're talking about it, Shirley, the dignity, I wish every single doctor out there, because we had some doctors that treated Glenn like a shmoo. And they would talk to me or they'd talk to the boys, but they never talked to Glenn directly. And if they did, they put him down. Mm-hmm. And these were top doctors all across the country that we took him to. Mm-hmm. And I just found that abhorrent, because the only doctor that he liked, smiled, responded to was his Dr. Kowalski, yes, who was his primary care and who treated him like Glenn of old and understood the Glenn of new.
I must say, over the 17 years, all right, and we take a lot of clients to see doctors at all level of care, and I must say the percentage now is starting to turn that around.
Good.
They're now starting, what we're actually will do is we will stand behind that person. The caregiver will stand behind that person so that the doctor is looking at you and the caregiver.
Now that's a good tip.
Yes.
That's a good
And
tip.
it is happening more and more, and you will see the actual caregiver do that. She will actually move herself behind and keep a hand on the client or patient, whatever, at that moment. And it does work, because you're forcing the doctor at that point to address his patient.
How wonderful. Yep. Now, if we do nothing else, that's a great tip.